And okay, we are live. Welcome back to another session of Storm King's Thunder. We're finally back after probably 2 weeks now of not playing. It's been a while. Lots of vacations and a return trip from Gen Con. I did get to meet a bunch of people out there that they said they might come and watch the show, which would be cool. I got to meet a lot of other streamers and YouTubers that were playing out there too. Like a bunch of them joined the games I was running. So it was kind of cool. But we're going to jump back into 5e, Dungeons and Dragons, Storm King's Thunder, which we're still, I think we're in Chapter 3 at this point. You guys need to get a move on, get to Chapter 4. Stop dilly-dallying. But we left off, we'll kind of do a little recap as our band of heroes had left Citadel Felbar a couple sessions ago, traveled directly overland to the west, as they have their handy ranger who allows them to travel at normal speeds no matter what terrain they're kind of jamming through. So they went overland instead of over the road. Got to the Moonwood, ran into an ogre, ran into a hill giant in a tower. That's a pretty good episode. If you haven't seen that, you should go back and check that out on the YouTube or on the Twitch VODs, or highlights, I think is what they call them. And then they kind of journeyed through the Moonwood, met some elves that were in the Moonwood, came out on the other side of the Moonwood, and then started following the Brin River, heading south a little bit to kind of skirt the Frost Hills to get around that. But then noticed a group of giants and orogs, and decided to beat feet south as the giants and the orogs gave chase. They got south, hit the Ravin Road, and then headed back east, which was weird because I thought for sure you guys would go west, but you guys went east to the Silverymoon Hall, only to find that it had been uncontrollably burned at that point, probably burned to the ground by now. But had been on fire when they got there. They decided to continue heading east to get to Silverymoon. I'm guessing so that they can get to Everlund and probably teleport at that point, because they were really, truly on their way over to Mirabar and Xantharal's Keep, if I remember correctly. So kind of a convoluted little way around. But now we're back. When we left the session, the last one, we were just outside Silverymoon. Let me zoom in a little bit so everybody can see a little bit where our group is. So our group's down here, the 6, plus, 2 or 3 at this point. And you guys were going to go ahead and enter Silverymoon. I absolutely forget if you guys had got there in the morning or in the afternoon. So we'll just say it's mid-morning when you see the gates or the bridges that lead into Silverymoon. We did kind of describe it a little bit. It's a town that is very Myth Draenor-like when they explain it, and if you see a map of it, it has a river that runs through it, and there's a pretty spectacular magical bridge that spans it, and this is the home of a lot of magical schools, so those that are wizards and sorcerers and even probably warlocks, anybody of the arcane natures, bards, things like that, have heard of Silverymoon or maybe went to Silverymoon if they were looking for some type of training or looking for spells or trying to do research. There's several magic colleges in Silverymoon, and it's a kind of a town that's really built like what you would think of an elven city would be, so it's a lot of the architecture is built into the trees that are there and that have been cultivated, and gardens and things. So they tried to build all their stuff around the nature that was there, and not just level it like most other human cities that we've traveled through. So it's early morning. I don't know if you guys had planned to stay in Silverymoon. It could be just a place you're passing through. Let me just show the character sheets real quick to the people that are watching. Hopefully the Twitch channel's up because I'm not even looking at that screen at the moment. Eventually when Greybeard gets in, he'll start looking at the chat. Spammy's probably in the chat too, so he'll tell me if there's anything there I need to know about.
Yep. So far, I think it's just me.
Okay. Yeah, no biggie. All right, so there's the character sheets. We're ready to go. Paladin, Barbarian, Druid, Spellsinger, Ranger, and Bard on deck. All right, guys, what is the party going to do as you approach Silverymoon? Right, everybody's excited.
Can I bring up a point? I don't think we got past the fort when we were sneaking. Was it Silverymoon Hall?
Yeah, you guys decided to bypass it.
Yeah, I thought that's exactly where we stopped. Like, we were going to bypass, and you said, okay, we're going to end there.
Oh, no, I'm sure. Because I can even see the button where I left it. Is it Silverymoon? And I remember describing it.
We ended up in Silverymoon, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I remember reading it.
You must have just fast-forwarded all the way through it then.
Yeah, what we did is when we got there... Well, no, you can't hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? We can't hear you at all, what? Yes.
When we got to the fort, it was all on fire, and there were a bunch of horns that were going off, a bunch of calls. And we went up to one of the towers. We saw that the gate was slightly open, and we couldn't see anyone. And we were debating whether we should go in or whether we should just leave. And eventually we decided just to get out. And then because we were sort of in a rush to finish it, we just were like, and you make it out, no one caught you, and you are now in Silverymoon.
Yeah.
It went down. But we did decide to leave. We just fast
Yeah. Nothing chased you. You didn't see anything there. It was on fire uncontrollably at the time.
All right, I'm going to chalk it down to drunken DM around a campfire then.
We ran away. We braved Sir Robin did.
Yeah. But that means you guys are sitting outside. I mean, you can bypass Silverymoon. You don't actually have to go into it, but you are definitely just outside as you're approaching Silverymoon. I didn't know if you need anything there or not.
No, we were just going south and avoiding the fight to try not to be murder hobos, but I guess we can go back up to Silverymoon Hall and pick a fight.
Well, that
What
is
is our-
definitely... Oh, go ahead.
Are we trying to get to Everland to use the teleports? And can our giant friend actually go through those?
Yes and no. And what we're worried about is the room we're going to teleport into. We don't think he'll be able to fit into our little human-sized buildings.
That's a good question.
So he can teleport, I believe. The spell says that like any creature can teleport through. I don't remember exactly what it says. But
And wasn't that the reason we were going overland?
Yep. Yeah, like I said, we sort of just rushed through the ending. But I think we did run this way. Because, I mean, it was the closest place to go. It was the closest city to go. And we were being chased relentlessly by, 2 giants and a bunch of orcs in, like, plate armor or something like that.
Yeah, Orogs, yeah.
Yeah, we were clearly being driven south.
Yeah, and so when we got to the keep, or whatever it's called, we just saw it was on fire, and
Here's
I could
my
tell that there were
contention.
giants
Didn't we
there.
defeat 2 giants and a bunch of Orogs when we were like 2 levels lower and not with a giant friend?
Didn't we bit
Yes.
in separate
Yes,
events?
but we still decided to flee,
There were 2 groups.
right?
Groups of giants and Orogs.
Yeah, we ran from the first one for some reason, and then I think it's just because we didn't have a solid advantage. Then we ran to the keep where there was at least one other fire giant, I believe, and a bunch of other orcs. And then we were like, well, we've just put ourselves in a pinch. And so we didn't want to go to that small little village to the west and just have all their shit be fucked up. So we went to the big town in case they did follow us. But I don't think they followed us, right, Lucian? I never sent them.
No, there was no chase given. You guys kind of just bypassed. You kept running for like a while, and then you started. You kept an eye out, but nothing gave chase.
So the question to the party is, do we want to go to Everland, teleport, and lose our giant friend, possibly? And that teleport gets us to where? Miramar?
Mirabar? I think so. I think that's the closest thing to Xanthros, right?
Yeah, there's a teleport at Mirabar. Or do we continue overland, basically back the way we came?
I'm all for going back up to Silverymoon Hall.
I'm down with that too. And my sword is probably down with that.
Super.
I'm thinking to my sword, what would it like to do?
Yeah, you're definitely. You get probably an impression, no words or anything, but you definitely get an impression that towards battle is always where it wants to go.
Yeah, at this point, Coffee's very frustrated. And he's purposely riling up Greybeard.
Trying to pick a fight.
Yeah, I'm like, why'd you run? I would have figured you would be the first person to turn around. And try
Greybeard
to
says,
engage.
my new monkly passive nature will not allow me to fight you.
When did you get a Russian accent, I ask?
That's right. No one asked.
Yeah, as a non-game side note, I met Colonel there. He came in and came to the room where I was doing one of the games, but I was so busy that we got to talk for like 10, 15 minutes, and that was it. We talked through texting more than anything, but we never could quite meet up because there was just so much going on at Gen Con, so it was kind of crazy. But I did get to meet him. It was cool.
Sweet.
I definitely think we should all go to Gen Con next year as a group.
I was about to say that. That would be sweet.
I'm game. Just tell me when we need to buy tickets.
As soon as possible, because they
Yesterday.
sell out.
Yesterday, yep. The day it ended.
The funny thing is, too, is that whole town, we're getting a little sidetracked for anybody that's watching, but this is a little Gen Con stories. But that whole town, every single hotel has Gen Con people. So I couldn't even get a hotel because I went late because I didn't realize, I thought I wasn't going this year, but then I ended up going when they asked me to run some games. So I was looking for hotels late, and I was all the way out near the Indianapolis airport. So it's about a 15-minute drive from the convention center, and every room in that hotel was Gen Con people, and they were all downstairs. Every time I'd get back at like 10 p.m., there's people everywhere playing board games, role-playing games, just drinking and sitting around watching TV, watching the football games or whatever, but they were all Gen Con people. It was just crazy.
That's awesome. Is Lake Geneva really a lake?
That is a great question. I have no idea.
I think there is a Lake Geneva. We drove through it coming back from Dub Dub.
Oh, did we?
So we just need to get a big lake house.
Just get a boat.
Houseboat.
Because we won't just sing that song the whole time. I'm on a boat. Okay, so back to what is the group deciding? Where's our group leader? Who is our group leader? Has we ever decided that there's a group leader in this group?
It's Nod.
It's always
Yeah,
kind of
it's
been PB,
PB, where's your group going?
Ian.
but now I'm arguing with her.
Yeah.
I don't agree with her leadership skills. This wood elf has led us astray.
We went where you wanted to go. We were like, let's go over there. And I was like, fine, we'll go over there. We got there and then we ran.
We ran the wrong direction.
Oh, I do remember him saying you guys should go to Rivermoot.
But we just go that way. You didn't say, let's stand and fight these guys.
I believe I said that too.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember.
I think the people of Zymorvan Hall and the people of Rivermoot need a warning, or at least a retribution.
And we are here to gain intel on what's going wrong with the Ordaining and why these giants are...
Yeah, yep. For the record, we tried running and tried not fighting all the time, but didn't work, so I say we go kill everything in our way.
Oh, it worked. You guys are still alive.
Yeah.
That.
3 hours of... We just ride south. We ride south. We're going to kill something this time.
Pain is
So-
temporary, glory is forever.
Zymorvan Hall.
I like how you choose to go passive when it's giants and orogs, but it's not like if it's, hey, you see a caravan of dwarves, we attack it.
It was like a large.
We're all
amount
about
of-
attacking crying giant women.
Yeah, yeah.
But if there's-
Do we outnumber it? Let's attack. Yeah.
It was like, well, there were like 20 orogs, weren't there? It was like an alarming amount. It wasn't just like, oh, this will be good.
Yeah, I
was
believe
like,
it was 2 fire giants and just over a dozen orogs, I thought. But you did have a river between you,
We had a giant.
and we almost like did. I don't want to spoil Game of Thrones, but you guys could have had your Game of Thrones scene.
Hey, there were two of us
Yeah.
who definitely wanted to stay in the other hall. Greybeard and myself.
That's true.
Yeah, I blame the Paladin.
I heard Tigray and his sword over and over saying, stay here. Run away, run away.
I'm a vengeance paladin now, so get used to it.
Well, I mean, let's go to Silverymoon. Let's pick up anything we need to restock on, if anything.
All right, so let's say that we're going to Silverymoon to stock up on healing potions.
Healing potions, I mean, none of us have any money though. That's why we were going to Xanthar's Keep, right? We were like, let's get all that mad loot over there.
Yeah, there'd be a lot. Silverymoon would be a place that you could purchase lots of magical things. Hell, you could probably buy quite a few different types of magic weapons, armor, all kinds of stuff here. But you're right, it would be expensive. So I mean, you would definitely need a bankroll to start making big purchases. Or there's plenty of people
Or-
here that would be able to make stuff too. So
Is there
Well, I-
anyone here that would be rich enough and like we are trying to gather some resources to go fight these giants that are ravaging the landscape? We could inform them that Zymorvan Hall has fallen and we need some supplies because we're going to go back and make the road safe by tracking these giants down. Maybe
Maybe
they'd
that
be
was their
so
plan.
kind as to give us some potions, maybe some magic.
If anything, we could at least.
We need a a
Go on.
patron. We need some. We can set up our Patreon page here in Silvermoon.
I'm down. Let's do it. Let's go in. I mean, there's a bunch of people here, right? From different. We could probably.
yeah, this is probably the most cosmopolitan of all of the towns in the Sword Coast, or especially up here in the kind of this area. It's like you will see races of all kinds. In fact, you'll see stuff like a Minotaur walking around. You will see Isomir. You will see Tieflings. You'll see a lot of different races in this because they're kind of everybody's welcome. Right up until you do something that like they deem as evil, then they kind of kick you out. So if you happen to be a goblin shaman who wanted to be a good guy, you could be hanging out here. They would accept you right up until you did something that got you kicked out.
Well, then we should at least warn them what's coming, and try to gain some favor into go.
Yeah, maybe find some Harpers for the cause and such. Yeah, let's do it. Let's head up into Silverymoon, dock up, get some Patreons, and let go. I mean, we're here already. We might as well, you know?
Might as well. So, okay. So exactly how are you guys going to do this? You're kind of at the
We enter
gate in.
Silverymoon.
I think we should split up and like all go deal with the Wizard Guild. Someone should go deal with like the local temples. Basically, we're trying to recruit money and supplies for our battle with the giants that have destroyed Morvin Hall. And I think selling it as, hey, there's some really nastiness coming. There's your warning, but there's also your opportunity to, you know.
Yeah, we should meet up.
I'll take all
probably
the horses to the stable and start to clean them up after this journey and get equipment cleaned back up again and purchase supplies for our journey out.
Yeah,
we
so
should meet
you
up
guys would
at-
already know. It's definitely a Harper's, one of the Harper's main kind of places. So there's definitely that kind of contact here. You do know that the person that kind of runs the place is High Marshal Methramer. Oh my God, Arasume. It's gonna be tough to. Let me put it in the chat. Because that'll be hard to spell. There we go. He is the city's lord, and you would almost all of you that have been to Silverymoon before, which I think most of you had, would reside in a tall, slender palace on the east side of the city and command Silverymoon's Knight Defenders.
So let's go speak to all the people we want to, and then once we're done, we should all meet up close to the High Marshal, and then go speak to the High Marshal and be like, hey, awful things are coming your way. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Works for me.
Alright.
Sure.
Does everyone have an idea of who they want to go, or who they want to look for, who they want to contact?
Yep, I'm cleaning up horses and tack and all that stuff.
I'll look for Harpers.
I will help with horses.
I
And
will
while
do
I'm at the
local
s-
mage tower.
While I'm at the stable, I'll keep an ear open for what the travelers in and out of the city are saying.
Ooh, nice.
Okay.
I'll hit the taverns.
You gave away all your stuff earlier, though, Greybeard, don't you remember?
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, Greybeard, you said like 10 minutes ago that you gave up drinking. That was really weird.
Yeah, it's a multiple personality thing. I took it as a feat when I went up a level.
Got it. Okay.
I want to look out for the. Oh my God! No, is it the Emerald Enclave? No, it's the other one. Is it the Emerald Enclave? The one, the guys who tried to recruit me in Tribor. I'll look out for those badges.
In Tribor, you had a ranger talk to you about. Wasn't it the ranger?
Yep.
And I think she was going to recruit you into the Harpers, but you were like, maybe.
No, oh, I don't think it was the Harpers.
She was
It
Emerald
the other
Enclave.
one.
What's the range? Let me look. That is interesting because I thought for sure that ranger was a Harper. But let me check.
No, because I wouldn't have thought twice about a Harper. I would have been like, no.
Yeah, they're a bunch of jerks.
Don't align with
Stupid
my
portals and stuff.
Jenny.
Oh, let me find her. Let me find her just so we're sure. God, you're like, this is the reason we have to look it up is because we're like on episode, I don't know,
Look it up.
super long. This was back in episode like 20 something.
Who is this? Parks. Ardreth Forest. Nope, still talking about Ardreth Forest.
No, it wasn't the Norse Shield. It wasn't the Talking Troll.
Let's see, which one?
Boar's Rest? No. Tribor Arms. That was your guys' favorite spot. God, you did. Zindra Winterbow. Remember her? Half-elf, female scout. And you were correct. She was trying to recruit you for the Emerald Enclave.
Yep.
Okay.
So I look. Oh, I just found the page. So yeah, so I look out
Perfect.
for that badge. With my 20 passive perception.
Not that one. Okay, so we got a lot of people splitting up, so we'll kind of do a few different scenes here. Everybody's going a different direction as far as what I just heard. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, I figured we'll take a day to do this, and then everybody meet back at the tavern at night, and we'll regroup.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And we'll assume that Greybeard will have worked out all the tavern stuff. He'll own it by then.
Maybe.
Or we'll have to get him out of jail.
Potato, potato.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Sounds about right.
All right, I'm just looking because I thought I had a map of this place, but I must be in the other campaign.
Yeah, you do.
And it is in the other campaign, but I don't want to log out of... Oh, there it is. I got it. Hold on. There we go. Let's do this. Let's do some Roll20 wizardry. We're going to go back up here, and we're going to add a handout. We're going to drop a file in that handout called Silverymoon. And then we'll give you guys access to it, and then you'll be able to see it. Almost like we know what we're doing.
Almost though.
Yeah, not quite. Not truly. Save changes. So do you guys see now Silverymoon?
Yep.
There you go. Oh, this is so good. Okay. So you guys are coming in through the Moon Gate. Is where we'll kind of come into. And I assume you kind of just made your plan as you were standing outside the gates, and then you guys go by the guards. It's midday, so you guys got plenty of time before tomorrow. And then, as far as I heard, your group made your decision. Then you're going to meet back up later tonight to talk to the High Marshal if you can get an audience. Is that correct?
Yep.
Or as soon as we can get in with him, after everybody
Yeah.
talks to their...
And then with the plan to try to leave again the next morning, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the team plan. Just, because Greybeard probably didn't hear it. Just so I know.
Right, thanks.
Right. Yeah, so you guys passed the night defenders that are guarding the gates, and you kind of split up. So who wants to go first as you all kind of start meandering these streets looking for the stuff you're looking for?
I kick Ardreth in the butt.
Nice.
I will go
I'm not
to-
sleeping. No need to kick me.
Is it the Vault of the Sages? Is that the local magic guild or whatnot?
Well, down in the south end, you can see the Mithril School, or Mresk School of Thaumaturgy is the School of Magic. Ladies College is also a School of Magic. That whole southern area across the river is kind of like the magic district of the colleges and schools and things like that. And you'd cross over the Moon Bridge, which is a pretty spectacular magical bridge of magic energy that spans the river. The north part of the city is more of like where you would see the regular parts of the city as far as your inns, all your different type of merchants, all your different types of dwellings for people that live there, whether they're nobles all the way. There's not really too many like slum areas here, but there are some lower rent areas, districts, and that kind of thing. But the north part is really probably the commerce and industry part, whereas that southern part of the river is more of the arcane colleges and such. There is the Sacred Grove over to the east side of town, and you have all of the temples. You have kind of like a temple district on the east side of town too. As you can see, there are temples for Helm, Mystera, Tymora, Selene, Ogma, and Maliki is what I'm thinking that's supposed to be.
All right, I'll head across the moon bridge and go to the sage section.
Okay. So we'll start with coffee heading down. And did we want to see a roll? Have you been here before? Do we want to establish that? Do we want to do a...
Yeah, let's see if I know anybody that would have been a contact for me that would be useful.
Yeah. Let's do like maybe a history check roll, and we'll see if you've been here before. Yeah, 11's fine. Okay. So you head over. Let me get one more web page up. You know, the handy DM's webpage that everybody needs. Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, you walk through town. You notice you kind of go along the southern part of, or you're along the north part of the river, I guess. You're passing kind of a lot of the docks. And so you get the smell of a lot of the fishing community there. And a lot of the taverns are down near the wharf areas. And you get to the Moon Bridge. And... You're probably pretty surprised on this. You've been here before, but this is one of those things that's always pretty awe-inspiring. It's kind of like one of those open air, see-through kind of bridges that are made of complete magical energy. It's by a spell that took tremendous amount of power to actually create. And actually, something you would know already too is that even the magical defenses of this town isn't just like the physical walls. There's like barriers and all kinds of magical spells that protect Silverymoon from quite a few different things. And so you're kind of walking over this bridge, and you're passing all kinds of different types of people. So you're passing elves and half-elves, halflings, humans, all the different kind of races of the humans that we would see in the Forgotten Realms. You're even seeing some stuff that's maybe you hadn't really seen, too often. Maybe the tieflings and others that look you might recognize as maybe an ASMR or something like that as you head down south. And then your contact that you've talked to before, you've worked with. This was maybe you came here before to learn spells, or were looking for a specific spell, something maybe you didn't have at the time, and it was something that you were able to put in your spell book early on in your arcane learning. And actually, this would be a really good place to even say that this is where you might have learned your spell singing, just because everywhere else that would be such a what's the word I want? It's not a common style of arcane magic for people to learn, but this is the place that kind of collects all kinds of uncommon arcane stuff. So this would be like a place you could go to learn it, kind of thing.
Okay.
And so your contact. Oh, shoot! I just did something wrong there. Where'd it go? Just had there they are. It's Ayla Yellowfine, and I'll put it in the chat here for you. And she is a wood elf that you've kind of talked to before. Yeah, but it's like one you like, right?
Ah. Sucks to suck.
I can't get away from him.
Hey, you should, really check out Ancestry.com. You might be more diverse than you think.
No.
He's going to check himself on the next elf march that he goes on.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
So there you go. And
All right.
yeah, you're able to find her pretty quickly. She's at the, there's those when you come across the bridge, all these buildings to the left-hand side after you, or I guess it'd be your right-hand side as you come off the bridge, are a lot of the magical colleges. And she has, she works here typically during the day doing research and, helps out at the college and does quite a bit. So you're able to track her down pretty quickly.
All right. I will go up to her and reintroduce myself and hope that she remembers me.
Yeah, do you go with your mask up, mask down?
Mass down for her.
Yeah. She recognizes you when you come up. She sees your face and she gives you the half smile, twinkle in the eye, and says, "Well, it's been some time since I've seen you in these parts."
Indeed, well met, Ayla. You have become my favorite of the Sylvan Elves.
And then her half smile is like a 3/4 smile, and then she says, "Ah, Ka'Fey, you must need something."
Indeed. My party and me have been out exploring the northern realms and have encountered a disturbance in the ordning with the giants. We have encountered several and met battle with several. We just came from the western road from, is it Zevron's Hall?
Morvin
Hall, which had been ransacked by Orogs and giants, and we are currently re-equipping and heading out to encounter them.
Yeah, she kind of she gives you a raised eyebrow, and she kind of says, "Well, we have been hearing of rumors of giants in the Evermoors, and there's been rumors that not only hill giants, but frost giants and fire giants and cloud giants are heading south, and a lot of it seemed like rumors, some of it seemed like actual things." But she kind of looks at you and gives you that kind of sizing you up, looking you from head to toe, and she's like, "But are you sure you should be dealing with giants?"
He kind of puffs out his chest a little bit and says, "I am traveling with a well battle-hardened crew now. We have bested several fire giants, and we actually have the company of a frost giant who is assisting us named Harshnag. I've also come into possession of something I'd like to show you." And he pulls out his the elven sword, the magic sword.
Yeah. Yeah, so she takes a look. Do you hand it to her, or do you just kind of show it to her?
I'm gonna hand it to her.
All right. So yeah, as you're handing it away, you definitely get this irrational kind of emotion of longing, like you don't want to let go of it necessarily. And it's only a brief second. Yeah, it's like a brief second.
Back, of course.
Yeah, and it's like a brief second, but then it's not like you can't hand it to her. So she holds the sword and she's looking at it and she says, "Well, there are many swords that our ancestors have created throughout the years." And she's looking at, she says, "I don't necessarily recognize this one, but I'm sure if we were able to research this, there's probably written down somewhere we could find out who made it and what it was made for. But I don't know how long that would take."
Am I to assume that that requires her to to keep it to do that research?
No. I think she's kind of implying like you both could go to the libraries, go to the places where they kind of record things like these, or stories, or legends, or descriptions of great weapons, to see if this one matches any of those characteristics. But it'd be like going through lots of books to say, well, they talk about an elven sword here, but they say it's this and this, so I don't know if it's that one, that type of thing.
I would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, so she just kind of she looks over it to kind of really get the measure of it. Basically, the idea of the shape, features that are on it, the engravings of it, the style that it is, the size and things, and she says, "I will definitely see if there's what I can find out. How could I reach you? You're going to be here in Silverymoon?"
Just for tonight, and then we are heading back out the Raven Road to go track down these giants that destroyed Morvin Hall and head out towards Rivermoot.
She says, "Well, then what I will do is I will contract a messenger. Then if I'm able to find something, and it'll be some type of magical message, like like a dove or a bird of some sort that would be able to deliver a message right to you. If she could find anything out,
that would be much appreciated."
She says, "You're still not running around with that Paladin, are you?"
Yes, I am. Finn, you speak of, correct?
Yes, Finn. Is he still gruff and as boring as ever?
He's recently taken on a hireling as well as a very large white lion he rides around.
And you hear her chuckle, and it's a laugh that is a very coy kind of laugh, and she says, "A giant white lion, that is very Finn."
He does like his kittens.
Nice. All right. She says to you, "Is there anything else that I can help you with?"
The other thing we're looking for is where can we stock up on potions of healing and such.
Well, there are definitely many shops within the merchant areas that are selling quite a bit of any type of potion you could think of.
Good. I think we need to stock up on provisions.
Yeah, and she'll give you maybe like the name of a apothecary that puts together and sells quite a few different things, and tells you, go and check out. Let's see. Yeah, she says to go and check out Delsarin's shop. He would probably be able to give you a deal, and if you mention her name, he would probably give you a little bit of a discount.
Great. Thank you, Allah. Ayla.
And I'll put it in there. Yeah, Delsarin. Delsarin the apothecary. She says, anything else, or shall I get started on research?
That's it. Research is much appreciated.
All right. Yeah, she'll kind of do a bow, and then she kind of heads off to one of the buildings that you hadn't really been in before. The building you're in now is the one that you've seen her at other times. She has like a little office there where she does research and things. But she's heading over to another big building, and it looks like the school of Mareska's School of Thaumaturgy. Even though you haven't really been there, you know of it, or you've seen it, or you know people that have, go to school there and that kind of thing.
Cool.
And then she kind of leaves you to your own devices. Are we maybe ready to switch to another person that's ready to delve into Silverymoon?
Yeah, I'll head back to the inn.
Cool. Who's next?
We can handle it. The horses.
Our bard.
Yes. Bard
So-
+1. I think there's a druid with
Yes.
me.
Yep.
Oh, okay. The bard and the druid. Got it. Let's bring my map up so I can see again. Yeah, you're going to find... so tell me a little bit about what... Let's do a roll to see if either one of you have been here before. I'm almost thinking... I got to imagine Ardreth has been here before. Edrim possibly.
He's from the Silverwood, but he's a recluse, so it's likely that he...
Yeah, you've probably been here at least, even if you haven't, you didn't stay here or live here. You must have at least traveled here every now and then. So, okay, so you both have been here. So, yeah. So you guys kind of know that. So tell me what you're looking for as far as kind of give me the idea of what you're going to do here.
I'm mostly just looking for a stable with which to clean up the horses and get our equipment cleaned up, but I want one that's busier, closer to where travelers may be coming into town, so we can find out what's going on in the local area.
Yep. So when you're looking, the first few buildings as you head into the moon gates, there's definitely some stables there that are pretty well to do, and they typically handle a lot of the caravan horses that are coming in, riding horses that are coming in. Also, you do know over by the Sundabar Gate would be another set of stables. Up near Hunter's Gate, you would be able to find some stables. And on the outskirts of town, if you were looking for somebody who is selling high-end horses, there's a few horse ranches out, several miles outside of town, even though you could still buy horses from a few of the stables that are here too. But there's pretty much at any one of the gates, there's always a few buildings that are stable areas. So you can do it right here at the Moon Gate, or you can go to one of the other gates if you want.
I'll follow Ardreth's lead, but the gate is good.
I think this gate works.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to find a big structure, and it's kind of like when you come up to it, it has... it's probably about a 3-story wooden structure. It has a big double gate to it that is open currently, big enough that carts and carriages and stuff can ride in. And so you kind of walk in to the courtyard area, and then the building is kind of built around this courtyard area, and then there are stable buildings within it. So it's kind of almost like its own little contained wooden structure. Nobody will get this reference, but I'll say it. It's almost like the building that you and your son had created in one of your cities. And for anybody that doesn't know what that is, Ardreth does a lot of Minecraft, and so he builds lots of stuff. And I'm thinking of a specific building from one of your early towns that you guys built on the. It was not a river, but it was like on a sea, right on the edge.
Oh. It could have been either a Versa or the other one that he built.
Yeah, it was before a Versa, I think. I think it was the town before that one. I bet I have a video of it somewhere. All right, anyways, moving on.
On the Ragemore channel.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys are able to walk in, and it's a pretty bustling, especially this mid-morning. You are seeing lots of other horses coming in, carriages coming in. You see everything from some of the wagons are getting wheels repaired or new wheels put on. You're seeing horses being led into stable areas, pretty large, several double-door stables. And when you go in, they kind of allow you to... There's just a lot of different stalls in there. And it's probably 3/4 full, so it's a pretty busy stable area here. There's lots of reshoeing going on. There's lots of harnesses being repaired. Like you said, you see people cleaning horses, brushing horses, washing horses. I mean, it's just like everything you can think of to do with horses is happening here as you come in. And there's lots of people coming in and out.
Well, I'll start going about cleaning stuff, getting the horses, their saddles off and making sure their shoes are all attached correctly. But while I'm doing it, I'll listen closely and I'll recommend to the monk or to the druid that the same, pay attention for what's going on around and question people as you hear.
Yeah, so let's do, to me, that probably be like an insight check just to see, well, Insight would be if you can tell if they're lying or not. Let's maybe do... What would be better? Let's look at Edrim's character sheet a moment while I'm deciding. Well, I guess perception is if you how well you overhear, and then you could do an insight check if you feel like you're trying to figure out if it's a true or if it's made up, I guess. So yeah, perception 12, not bad. You're definitely hearing. So some of the things that's kind of swirling around. You're not here. The one thing you're not hearing of is you're not hearing anything about, like, nobody's saying anything about Zymorvan Hall. So it doesn't sound like anybody's aware or knows anything, like that hasn't reached here yet. You are hearing some people talking about they came from the south, or are about to head south, and a lot of people are asking about the road conditions. And the one thing that makes that stand out to you is, I wouldn't say they're afraid or they're scared, but they're definitely wary. They must be taking the rumors of there's lots of raiding going on all over the Sword Coast area, that everybody's trying to find what information they can if they're going to be traveling. And it sounds like, people are asking, like, well, hey, I'm about to go down to Everlund. You just came up from Everlund. What did you see anything? Or like, we didn't see anything, but we heard from a friend of a cousin who said this happened, and you're kind of hearing a few of those kinds of things. It sounds like most of the travel either mostly heads south and comes back up here to Silverymoon. There's not a ton of travel that goes out the Ralvin Road. There's some, but Zymorvan Hall and Rivermoot are smaller settlements. It's not like there's a ton of traveling going on in that direction. But you're picking up a few things here and there. It sounds like it's days old. Nothing stands out to you at the moment. Nothing of giants either, except for the normal rumors that you've been hearing of. We've heard that giants have attacked in the south. We've heard that trolls have come out of the Evermoors again. Like, well, the trolls are always coming out of Evermoors. But on the other hand, it's like, no, I've been hearing that, like, more trolls have been coming out of the Evermoors, like more than usual, and that kind of thing.
So while we're working around and listening for different stories, if I keep my push to talk, it'll be even easier to go about that route. I'm going to find my opportunity to ask Edrim a little bit more. I started questioning him at one time about when he kind of figured out that the life of a druid was for him and what it was like as he made the animal changes. But I'm not going to be real direct about it, so it'll be a longer conversation. So pepper it throughout the discussion as we're cleaning things up.
How would Edrim respond to that?
Well, I've always been kind of outside of society. My earliest memories were as a ward of the forest. It's really the only life I've ever known. It would be difficult to really educate you on druidic lore without you actually, and I'm going to go out of character a little bit, metagame this, without you actually taking a level of druid. There's so much information I would have to teach you that a couple of days here or there just would not be sufficient.
So I'll ask him. So Edrim, do people ever change without going through the training?
I have never heard of that happening.
And after that, I'll kind of shut down and close off the conversation a little bit. So.
Yeah, and I would think too, just to kind of coming from him, it would be like his idea of, I've never heard of a druid that's done that, right? But there are definitely stories of people that change. I mean, a werewolf story, werebear, were creature, were people. Those are all stories that you guys probably had heard of, even if you've never met one or seen one, or even know if they're true. But also, there's quite a few things that'll shapeshift. So I think Edrim would probably know those, but I think it's a cool way for you to say, no, I've never heard anything, not even realizing that's what he really means is the, you're just like, no, I've never heard of any druids that didn't go through the training and then could change.
And you'll notice, Edrim, once you give that response, I kind of shut up immediately and go back to working on the horses.
If there was any subtext there, Edrim is oblivious.
Nice.
And while we're going through the horses, beyond our own, Edrim will take a look at other horses and see if any of them require some form of aid. Injuries or other things like that.
Yeah, you can do like a close your character sheet again, but there is an animal handling check. We'll just let you do a one for the whole stable area here. Yeah, we'll probably say that like none of them are injured, but you like as you're walking through, you notice some that probably have minor injuries that even their owners didn't recognize, and it would take somebody who was either a true horse expert or somebody like that's an animal expert to even notice the minor discomfort of a few of these different animals, and you're able to either help the person, the stable hand, realize a way to help alleviate this minor pain for these animals, or it's nothing that would kill them. It's nothing that would even really hurts them much. It's probably nothing that doesn't happen for most, beasts of burden anyways, from having to have saddles or pulling carriages or carts. But you're able to pick out a few and able to kind of point out, hey, you should do this, or, if you were to, walk this horse for a little bit of time or stretch this muscle or add this poultice to this area, the horse would be in a much better spirits, I guess. Cool. All right, so you guys, housing the horses here is only I'm gonna say like 5 copper a night for each horse, and they feed them. They wash them down. They allow you to do it too. Like if you want to do it yourself, it's still the same price, but they give you all the tools and they allow you to use all the facilities. Or they're just as happy to have one of the stable hands who wants to do it and maybe get a tip from you guys type thing. But they're also willing just to let you take care of your own horses.
Once I'm sure the horses are in okay shape, I'll let the stable boys finish up the work and toss them a couple extra copper for the job that they're doing.
Yeah, they're super enthusiastic, and they seem well adapted to this, as if it's what they do day in and day out.
How many horses do we total have these days?
Spectacular question.
I'm trying to think who actually is riding one.
Yeah,
Myself,
who's riding horses at these
Coffee.
days?
I'm going to guess 5 because Edrim does not use one.
Mine
Paladin
ran away.
doesn't. That's right. So is it 4? 3?
Yeah.
3 horses. Okay, I just have to figure out. So I'll throw them 3 copper.
Okay.
I probably would have said, hey, you might want to get me a new horse.
I thought along with your vow of giving up drinking, you started to want to walk everywhere too.
Okay, GB would say something like, all right, if you all want to go that slow.
I'll look around inside here and try to find a horse of appropriate stature for GB.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you'd be able to find lots of different, there's actually a lot of different styles of horses and types of horses. So steep horses, mountain horses. There's even like pony, donkey, things
So
like
I have
that.
animal handling and good negotiation skills. I get Greybeard. Did you give me money for a horse with a budget?
Yeah.
I'm kind of broke. There's a certain paladin wearing most of my wealth.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
And he looks good doing it.
Um, yeah, 80.
Okay. I will look around for a good
And-
horse for him then.
And GB is not beyond riding a donkey or a mule if that's what it comes to either.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
you could find a pony for like probably 20 gold.
like not a pony that's going to grow up, but like a Shetland pony type.
Yeah. Like it's just a
Mount.
smaller
Okay.
horse.
Yeah, like a
smaller
good riding
horse.
short. I was looking for a smaller riding horse that would
Yeah.
be more fitting.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
it'd be like easily 25 gold.
All right.
And
Sweet.
they you'd be able to get the
Barding with it too in the horse
yeah,
saddle.
yeah. You guys
Okay.
are this is
I
a
will
pretty
look around for a good horse
metropolitan
for 'em.
city, so a lot of the prices, because there's going to be lots of different people selling, are going to be on the nice lower side than if you were at, a smaller town where there might be one extra horse in the whole place. Well, that's going to be more expensive there. Yeah. All right, so are we good? Anything more from Ardreth or Edrim? Or just
If
go to the
there's-
rendezvous point, or what?
If there's extra time, he would have spent some time in like a city park or something like that, meditating. That was it.
Well, for Edrim, there is. Let me bring the map up. Some place that you probably, if you have time to visit, would definitely be the Sacred Grove of Sylvanas. I mean, that's a pretty sacred kind of druidic-y place of peace and very old trees that have been there for thousands of years, kind of thing. And that's over on the east side of town if you look at the map.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. If there's time, I stop over there for a while.
Yeah, all right. And there's definitely there's a lot of different people make pilgrimages to this. So everything from those who worship Sylvanas to druids or those that are attuned with nature will also stop in here. This is a very common spot for those to try to get away from the bustle of the city and just, have kind of that peace and quiet inside a town like this. All right. What we'll do is who wants to go next as far as the people that have split up, but we'll take our 5-minute break. But who's going to go next when we come back?
I can go next.
Okay. Our group leader will go next. But what we'll do is we'll take our first 5-minute break of the evening, and we will come back and we will see exactly what Ian gets to do here in Silverymoon. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We've got lots to go, lots of RPing happening, and then we'll see where the story takes us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we are back from our break. All right, Ian, you're at the gate. What is Ian gonna do?
I am going to go towards let's see. What are pop up? Oh, it popped down. Here we go. Let's look at this picture. Nope, that's not the entrance. No, click on you. We're entering from the top, right? From the north?
No, from the west side of town, the Moon Gate.
Oh, the Moon Gate. Oh man, that's such a journey. I'm just going to make my way to the other side of, like, I'm just going to start heading east along what I consider the main road, just keeping an eye out for people who look rangery, woodsy, caravan-y, because usually caravans have a lot, like people I used to work for to make a quick buck when I first left the forest. So I'm going to follow the main road, just looking for that, and then just follow where there's a large concentration of caravan-y, rangery, woodsy type people.
Yeah,
Without
most of that
asking
you're
any
going to see like the big bustle of the caravan type people are definitely near the gates, where like a lot of that stuff comes in, but it also goes along kind of the road that follows itself, Helmer's Road, Old Wall. They take kind of that northern road that kind of curves around over to where the market is, because that market area is like a big open area in the city. But then what happens is all these people set up their stalls and their movable merchandise and stuff, so like in their wagons, and then when they leave at night, that whole market area can be quite often empty once they all leave again, or they all pack up and head out. So anywhere along, like starting at the Moon's Gate, you'll see lots of caravan people heading along that road that kind of leads kind of in a northerly curve over to where it says the market. All that whole area, you'll see just quite a bit of that kind of stuff. What are you looking for specifically?
I'm looking for like people who look like Winterbow, and people who frequented the Tribor Arms, that kind of person. Someone who I think would be part of the Emerald Enclave. And keeping an eye out for that patch if I see it. Or that logo.
Okay. Well, let's do a perception roll. You're pretty good at that typically, so let's see how your perception is today.
How about my passive perception? Does that help me at all?
I mean, it does, yeah.
Because I've been rolling like shit lately.
Well, that's not bad.
I have a +5. That was a 9.
Not bad. I'm gonna say that you do see quite a few what you are probably guessing are either guides, scouts, woodland people, whether they're people that go out and trap or people that go out and hunt and come back. There definitely are people that are guides for other people. There's definitely probably rangers and such that are willing to hire on to caravans as outlooks and outriders and that kind of thing. But I'm gonna say you haven't noticed anybody prominently displaying the symbol of the Emerald Enclave. So it seems like if this was a place that had lots of them, they must be hiding the fact that they're not openly just walking around. Whereas you do notice every now and then you see people with Harper badges kind of prominently displayed. So it's like you kind of get the impression this is definitely like a Harper base of operations, that the Harpers are quite entrenched here. So they're not keeping secret. At least not all of them are keeping secret that they're Harpers, but you're not seeing a ton of Emerald Enclave. There's probably a bunch here, but they're not openly advertising it.
Mm-hmm. So I had once I started seeing the greenery of the grove of the Sylvanas, I start like making my way towards there, I feel like that would give me the best bet to find
Yeah.
people of like.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so I hold up for someone who looks like me or Zendra Winterbow to just start a chat with.
Yeah, and then so you definitely see quite a few druids moving in and out. You definitely see a lot of woodslands like people that are going and paying their respects, or they've come here to visit the grove. You're seeing many humans. You're seeing several half elves, probably several types of different elves, wood elves, but also probably some of the other types of elves. Is there anybody that you would want to speak to over any of the others, or just randomly pick somebody?
I would go for the people who look like more weathered, more warrior like they've seen a fight or two in their life, rather than the more innocent looking guys.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you
whomever
definitely
think
see
that
a half elf who definitely has the browns and the greens of somebody who spends a lot of time in the woods, or at least scouting. You can tell the scabbard that he has for the longsword that he wears is well maintained. It's old, maintained, and well used. Like he is, you get the impression just from his gear that he is no stranger to having to use any of it, and he keeps it in good shape, even if it's well worn at this point.
Okay, so I go up to him at an opportune moment where he's not busy, giving things to Sylvanus or something else.
Yeah.
And
You
I
see
go
him.
up to-
You see him giving an offering at one of the. There's different little areas of shrines and in different little places, and it's you notice maybe you kind of catch him from the you watch him. You don't really approach at first, and it's a very quick. He kind of comes in. He does a very small. He must be saying something like a phrase or something. He puts a small offering, and it's very quick. It's very solemn, and then he kind of turns and he's kind of about to head back out.
So once he's a few steps away from the shrine, I call out and I'm like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, and he kind of looks your way, and with kind of a easy look, easy smile, and he kind of looks to his left and his right to make sure that maybe you were talking to him or not, because he doesn't recognize you. As he kind of peers at your face, looking to see if maybe he's somebody that he should know your name type thing, and he's like, "Have we met before?"
No, we have not. My name is Ianagris Meliamne. I'm not charismatic. Think not charismatic. Okay. Yes, I'm Ianagris Meliamne. I just have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
He says, well met. And he gives you his name as Qatar Quinnen. And I'll put it in the chat here for you.
Qatar Quinnen. I can't wait for this to be spelled with a Q. Oh, it's not. It's a K. I was close. Hello, Qatar and Quinnen.
And he kind of says to you, please, just Qatar.
Well.
And he gives
hello,
you a
Qatar.
bow. He's a half elf.
Oh, half elf. Oh, good for him. I ask him, from where have you come to Silverymoon?
I actually
for a second.
I live here in Silverymoon. I typically travel around the areas and hire on to show people around, but I'm from Silverymoon.
Have you heard of any giant attacks around Silverymoon? Or giant activity?
He says many of the scouts and the outriders have passed rumors in the taverns. You'll hear many tale Sounds like whatever's happening, it's happening to the south of the Evermoors. There seems to be a lot more raiding going on. We've heard of giants on the move to the north. I even had a friend who frequents the Moonwood mentioned that the raiding seems to be happening a little bit more in the Moonwood also, but nothing near Silverymoon.
Have you heard of Zymorvin Hall?
And he kind of gives you a quizzical look, and he's like, well, I've heard of it? Or do you mean, have I heard anything coming from there?
Have you heard of anything coming from Zymorvin Hall?
Says, nope, I have not heard anything happening on the Ralvin Road in the last few days, though word does travel slowly sometimes if those caravans aren't... a lot of caravans don't make that trip very often, so it's more of like a once-a-month kind of thing, and you don't hear as much word. Most of the hiring I get either takes me south or takes me to the northeast.
Well, me and my party recently passed through the Moonwood and then down. We went towards the Subrim River and then down south is Zymorvin Hall. And we encountered several fire giants and orogs, and once we hit Zymorvin Hall, we found that it had fallen. And it was occupied by at least a giant and several orogs.
Yeah, and he definitely gives you a studied look when you say... Did you say what type of giant?
Yeah, I said fire giant.
Yeah, so when you say fire giant, he's like... All the stories we're hearing is of hill giants and... I mean, you hear somebody say a frost giant did this or a cloud giant did that, but those are usually just tavern stories from drunkards. But you're saying you've seen fire giants at Zymorvin Hall?
I took something off of a fire giant in one of our very several fights. I can't exactly remember what I took off of one of them as my trophy, but I do have a trophy of a fire giant that's fairly recent. And so I pull it out of my pack and I show it to him, and I say, well, we were in Tribor when it was attacked, and we drove off and eventually killed the fire giants that attacked there. We were then attacked by fire giants on our way to Everlyn. Yeah, was it outside of Olsen's Hole to Everlyn? South of the Silverwood. Let's just keep it easy. Yep. South of the Silverwood.
Yeah, you guys were on the Evermore Way when they attacked you guys, I believe.
And then a helicopter was driving outside as I spoke. And then, furthermore, we were attacked in Zymorvin Hall, and we hear rumor that there is a congregation of fire giants well northeast of Citadel Felbar. We have seen slain storm giants. They all seem to be very active at this time. Still holding up the trophy.
Yeah, he says, well, I hope it's not the foretelling of another war. I mean, we just finished we're still trying to rebuild from the orc invasion from the east. Does Citadel Felbar know of these sightings you've seen?
Yes. Yes, they do. We went to inform them, and they informed us of the activity of the fire giants north of them.
Well, he says, I'm sorry, but it seems like you have more information than I can possibly give, but I can definitely pass this on to those that the colleagues and such that I work with. Do you believe the Silverymoon Pass and the roads are unsafe?
Silverymoon Pass, is that the one towards Hogsness?
Yeah.
I would say I think everything is soon to be a little bit dangerous, more dangerous with all this activity. For sure, at least the Rauvin Road.
Yeah.
Rauvin Road between Rivermoot and Zymorvan Hall is not anywhere near safe. Me and my colleagues will be heading back to Zymorvan Hall and trying to rid the area of the giants. However, we stopped at Silverymoon to stock back up on materials and seeing if we could find anyone who would be willing to help us on their path towards destroying the giants and pushing them back to whence they came.
And he says, so you mean there's more than one giant? There's many giants.
There are several. We found a hill giant just east of the Moonwood. We found storm giants strewn dead south of the Moonwood. Fire giants west of the Moonwood. Fire giants in Tribor. We heard tale in Nightstone of it being attacked by cloud giants, dropping boulders. I think the giants...
Says I've heard tales of similar, but I didn't think they were real.
They're very real and a very real danger. And me and my friends... Oh, let's omit that one. I didn't say friends. Me and my traveling party have made it our mission to attempt to stop this slow invasion of the giants, of the bad giants. We have a frost giant in our party. He's pretty nice, and he's looking to kill giants also. So, would you know anyone who would be willing to help or provide assistance of any kind to those who are on such a journey?
He says, well, I can definitely speak to those that... I'm trying to think of how he would answer that.
Well, I mean, he's from the town, right? He knows people who know people.
Yeah, the people he kind of hangs out with are like the people that are like him. So like other scouts, other outriders, other guides and things. And yeah, I'm trying to think of like he would be like, well, I can definitely spread the word amongst the guides and the outriders that the Ralvin Road has become so dangerous, and we'll definitely have to. I mean, but as far as sending somebody to Zymorvan Hall, I think you would want to talk with the marshal here in Silverymoon for them to be able to send a force to Zymorvan Hall.
Well, all assistance doesn't have to be on the front lines. Assistance can come from all places. Would you know anyone who would be willing to either give or give a discount on any armaments, any supplies for such a party? And also, I am looking for... I was in contact with someone in Tribor, but after the attack I wasn't able to... I didn't have time to go back and speak to her, and now I'm looking for someone who may be part of the Emerald Enclave. I would like to speak to a representative.
Yeah, you'll see the narrowing of eyes when you actually kind of outright say it. And in the kind of, you see again the left, right kind of over his shoulder look. And then he kind of waves you into the tree line, like, because you guys are more on like a manicured path of the grove here. And he kind of like has you move into the wooded area a little bit. And
I look very confused, but I do follow.
Yeah. Well, it's just and he you notice he speaks a lot quieter. And he says, I may be able to help you get in touch with those that you're looking for, but I can't promise that they would accept an audience with you. I can only provide a request.
That is.
So, like, go ahead and roll an insight.
If I were insights, I would. Yeah, it would be decent. But with my rolls, yeah, no.
Okay.
I say.
You think there's probably something he's implying there, but you're not sure what it was. You're not getting what he's trying to coyly tell you, or between the lines he's trying to tell you something, but you're not picking it up.
It's fine, because I wasn't picking it up either. It's okay, Ian. Well, me and my party are heading out tomorrow to head towards Marvin Hall. It's just a quick stop here at Silverymoon. We would like to hit them before there are any more damage is done. So, I mean, I would appreciate it if you would let them know that I am Grace Meliamne of the High Forest. The one who helped drive out the fire giant from Tribor, helped Nightstone.
He says, yes, I realize the time constraint, and I will be able to relay your message quickly. Where would I be able to find you if they pass an invitation to you?
I will be congregating back at the inn that I'm sure we previously discussed and picked an inn and said the name of, and that inn in town.
Did anybody discuss an inn? What do you guys think?
Probably one of the closer ones. One of the people who knew the town, right? Because that's one of the first things we talk about when we enter a town. I'm sure, like, on the way to Silverymoon, we were like, hey, there's that one inn I went to that one time. That was really nice. We should totally go there, have some food, drink some coffee. It'll be great.
Oh, yeah. Like, where was... Because, like, Greybeard was going somewhere, right? He was obviously going to...
Well, we don't want to stay at that dump, though.
Yeah, because actually the tavern he was going to was called the Terrible Stew, which is it's irony because the food is wonderful, but the place is called the Terrible Stew.
But I'm sure.
Or you could pick a different. If you don't want to go there, we could pick a different one. Not where Greybeard will be.
I'm down with wherever we want to go. I will agree with whatever is agreed upon.
So you just mentioned to him that you'll be at the Terrible Stew.
Yeah, sure. The Terrible Stew. I will be at
he gives you a nod, and he will say, well, and he says, I hope they do grant you an audience, but I'm only but the messenger.
Now, I have two questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Answering them for me. One, everyone gets this really shifty look when anyone speaks about these factions. I've spoken to those from the Harpers, as one of my members is from the Harpers. We've spoken to the Knights of Uselessness up in Hawksnest, whatever their names were. And they were also very hush hush, that one, in whenever speaking about it. And you now, when I said the faction name, you also became very shifty and brought me into I'm probably ducking under a branch. Look at the branch, like, into the woods. Is it just not something discussed upon? This was not in my class in the High Forest of how to deal with human civilizations.
He says, I believe that there are many factions within the Sword Coast, and many of them, depending on where they're at, would depend on how open they are with the faction that they portray.
That didn't answer my question. Oh
Yeah,
man.
hold on. I was just turning the thing. And he says, if they feel like they're in a place of safety, a place where of their own power, then you will typically see more openly, evidence of those members. But when they travel to other places where their power does not quite reach, and they are more agents who are possibly keeping track of the other factions or on their own missions, many of them will not make known the group that they are a part of.
So what is the, I guess, town that I should be, that are very clearly Emerald Enclave controlled? Like here, I've noticed Harpers are very open with their faction.
That is a great question. Hold on, let me look.
It just happens we keep hitting all the Harper hotspots.
Yeah, you guys do. You guys are able to find those pretty easy.
Or Harper metal detectors. I think Nod. I think Nod is the guy.
Oh, there it is. Factions. Okay. Let me just look here a sec.
Someone remind me before I forget again that the second question I want to ask is if I'm going to have to drink something weird and I'm going to be sucked into a different place. That's my second question, but I keep forgetting it.
Very nice. Very nice.
So if I forget it, that's what it is.
Yeah, he kind of mentions that the Enclave, and he just calls it the Enclave, don't typically congregate in towns, which is why it would be hard for you to see many of them gathered. They spend most of their time in the wilderness protecting natural places of power that are usually pretty remote from civilization. You would not, though they are a faction, and I realize you mention, or you have implied, the Harpers or the other factions. The Enclave is more dispersed than, say, those factions you mentioned, who probably have more business with dealing with things that are happening in the cities. So it is easier for you to stumble upon them than the group that you were looking for now.
Okay, sort of like that tree thing in the high forest.
Yeah.
All right. So, and my second question is, the last time I dealt with a hush-hush situation with a faction, I had to drink something and I was teleported to another place. Is that just something? I would just like to be prepared if that's a thing that is going to happen. If we, it's very unsettling. I'm not accustomed to quick travel like that.
Yeah, he says, I don't believe, are you granted an audience this evening? Would that be something you would need to worry about?
Okay, just to be prepared. I don't know if you've ever had to endure it. It's just like not a comfortable feeling. It's sort of like you're falling out of a tree, but you just never hit the ground. And then suddenly you're on the ground, but you didn't hit it. And you're just there. It's like you were on the ground the entire... It's not a good feeling. Anyway, so...
Yeah, he kind of has a little shudder, and he says, yes, that sounds very unpleasant.
So I would like to thank you, Qatar, for your time. I appreciate you informing me, and please do inform other guides and those who work around here that to be on the lookout for giants. They're not exactly subtle nor small, But if you don't keep your eye out, especially at night, you may be ambushed, as we were once. Apparently orcs are also working for them, and trolls, which is very disconcerting. That's, just be careful.
Okay. Yeah, he kind of gives you a look as, you're speaking a lot of words quickly. And he just kind of gives you the nod of, okay, yep, I've got it.
All right, then I just nod and I walk away.
All right, which way are you going to head after you're kind of coming out of the grove?
I'll probably walk around and see if I see anything interesting in the market. Anything like a cheap, cool looking trinket or trophy. Maybe get into conversation with somebody who sells trophies and just trade information. And oh, that's such a cool trophy. How did you do that? Oh man, I have this one trophy and I did this with it. And oh man, I did this thing with some teeth for a friend from an Oni. It was a whole thing. Just have those sorts of conversations in the market with people who do that before I head back towards the inn.
Yeah. So you're in the market, and passive perception is a 20.
Yep. And
go ahead and give me a roll also, though.
Oh, that'll be great. I'm rolling great tonight. Perception. What are the chances it'll be over a 10? Nope.
Yeah. So as you're in the market and you're looking at different trinkets and things, and you're kind of focusing on those shops that have odd trophy style things, things that have been taken from animals or creatures or what may it be, and you're kind of standing a little outside of the booth because a lot of people are crowding in and you're not really moving to be shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of a lot of humans, but a lot of other races that are here too, and they're all kind of crammed in there, and you're kind of keeping a little way out from that, but that keeps you kind of towards the road. And just at the last second, kind of a horse and carriage goes rolling by, and you probably feel the breeze as if you were one step further back, it probably would have bumped into you, if not ran you over, as it goes by at say not a run, but a fast clip. And it's a kind of a big wooden carriage. A single horse, big wheeled, and then what's kind of your reaction to that?
I recoil forward very quickly, and then I readjust back to where I was, and I keep an eye on the wagon. What's got them, in such a hurry, especially with all the shit that's going on.
Yeah, and you as you watched it go by, and it's probably 6 seconds past you, moving at a pretty good clip. You're kind of stunned for a moment, you're just kind of not quite open mouth, slack jawed, but you're hit with a wave of emotion as you think in the back seat of this carriage. It's you see through the window, and the door has a window. There's 2 windows on either side of the door window, almost like the Old West kind of stagecoach kind of thing, but of a much more elegant and definitely higher class kind of carriage. You're pretty sure you just saw Tequala in the carriage.
Which direction did they go?
And it's just going north, as if it's going up to the road, and then it looks like it's going. The crowd kind of starts moving out of its way, and then kind of forms back in, but you still see kind of the tops of it, and you're just shocked and stunned. Just the fact that you just think you saw her that you haven't even reacted as 5, 6, 7 seconds goes by and it continues to move through the crowd.
I completely, I don't care what I was just doing. Whatever conversation was just happening, it's just completely dropped. I just go. I just go. Straight towards wherever that's going. I just follow.
Yeah,
No
so you're
thoughts
kind
of
of, we have
anything or
kind of
anyone, I
this,
just go.
yeah, this scene of you pushing your way through a crowd, trying to move quickly through a crowd that's constantly shifting, and people are, somebody will shake their hand at you as you brush by them, and other person will like grab their kid out of the way as you go racing by. And you're still pretty good about diving in and out and over little obstacles and things as you're making good. I mean, you're fast to catch up to it. And it's not moving so fast that you can't catch up to it. But you see, this kind of ornate carriage that is. Let me bring my map up again. Just one second. It's one of these.
Oh my god. Oh,
Did I
I'm here.
close
I
it?
thought this was already over.
So yeah, you catch up to it. I guess let's just open the journal part again. As it's about to turn left onto the road, heading back towards the Moon Gate. It looks like it's going to head west. It was heading north along the market area, and you follow it, and you're kind of catching up to it just as it makes a turn left, and it starts to go into the more town proper there, out of the market area.
I don't stop. I just keep going.
Yeah, well, okay, so you're right behind it. It's clattering along at probably the horse is probably at a trot. You're at a run to keep up with it, but I mean you can overtake it. But what are you going to do when you're up next to it?
So is it just like a passenger carriage? Is it like a
Yeah.
caravan?
Nope. Like it looks like as you're looking at it more, it definitely looks like a lord or rich kind of carriage. So it's somebody who's more of a noble, probably would use this carriage to move, from one area to another. Pretty common in towns as far as, how the rich would move in and out. Maybe not as common for you to see, but you would have seen it in other towns and such.
I run up to the to where the person driving the carriage is. And
Okay, so you like run by the wheels are clattering along, and you're just going to run by up to the front of it and just run along.
And I try to keep pace, and I'm just like, excuse me, driver, quick question.
Yeah, and it's really loud. The noise that it's making, and he kind of looks to your left, and you can see that it's a human, kind of dressed in a carriageman's clothing, but almost uniform, like where it looks like he's obviously a hired servant for like a noble house or something, and wears kind of the livery of some type of noble house. And he looks all pretty prim and proper, and he's looking at you, and he's not slowing down, and he's like wondering why you're running, and he's just kind of staring at you. He's like, he doesn't know what to do. No, he's never really had an elf just run up, and, and run alongside and yell at him.
Casual. I'm imagining like the scene from Aladdin is like when he's just running through and just over things.
Yeah. You're like
what's
making,
happening in my mind.
you're jumping over small children and weaving in and out at the perfect time, and you're always able to keep pace with where he is, and he's kind of like, he's just kind of watching the whole spectacle. He doesn't know quite what you're doing.
Are you heading out of town, good sir, or because it's very dangerous out in the road. I don't know if you've heard yet. Giants are attacking not Silverymoon, but on the road. It was not safe. Are you heading out, or are you staying?
Yeah, he starts to slow down, because now if he's got to take his eyes off of the road area, he's worried. So he slows the cart down, and he says, "Excuse me, miss. Please, I'm trying to take the missus back to our manor. You're very distracting." as he slows the cart down and it kind of comes to a stop.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm distracting for you and Miss who misses. I'm not from here.
He says, "Well, Lady Kiernan."
Lady Kiernan. Oh, that's who is Lady Kiernan?
And he kind of gives you a look. He's like, "Well, Lord and Lady Kiernan of Silverymoon?"
No, not really from around these places.
Yeah, and he says, "And who are you? I really need to get her back to the manor. Is there something I can help you with?"
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been trying to warn the caravanners. I was just in the market, and that the roads aren't very safe. And I just saw your carriage, and I thought maybe you were heading out and you hadn't gotten the word. But now I know that you're just heading to the manor over there, and I just point in a random direction.
Yeah, kind of like the general direction. He's like, he's kind of like, okay, yes, we are not currently leaving Silverymoon, but thank you for the word of warning in case we were to.
Okay, phew.
He kind of hits the reins again, and the horse starts up a little bit.
And I start waiting, and I'm like, okay, good to know. Stay safe. And I just
yeah,
wait
and when you see that cart go by, there's like little itty bitty wispy kind of curtains on the window portions, and as it was moving, when it was moving quite quickly, they kind of were blowing out of the way, and as it's moving slowly, they hang a little bit more straight. But you kind of see the hand, and it's a hand that's like got a fine silk glove, like a fine silk white glove, and it's of a female hand, a woman's hand, and she kind of pushes the curtain a bit to get a look at you as she goes by, and you're absolutely sure this is Tequala. Like the features are identical.
Well, it's a good thing I was just going to stand here for a little bit, because I'm just going to stand there for a little bit as I stare.
Yeah, and you lock eyes, and she has a look on her face of not knowing who you are. But everything down to your bone, everything down to you absolutely believe you're staring at Tequala.
I let them pass by, but I do follow at a distance from the carriage, and I wait until they get to their destination, and I'm off a distance, and I just watch them get out of the carriage and go into their manor or whatever they're going.
Yeah. So they go west. If you're looking at the map, they go west, and then there's a gate that leads into the old walled section of the town, which used to be the smaller section of the town. They go into that area, and then as they come off of that road, they go down to the next road. He goes right, and it's probably, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 7 buildings down, he turns into what looks like a courtyard and goes into a manor that has a wall. So he goes through a gate that's opened by guards. They let the carriage in, and then the gates close the gate. The guards close the gate, and then it's like this. It definitely looks like a nobleman's manor, or at least a somebody of wealth. Giant manor. These aren't like the regular homes, of the middle class or even the lower class. This is somebody with a lot of money and a lot of wealth.
Okay, so I get in the position where I can just see the people getting out of the carriage, whether it's the gates that are bars. Or
they're just bars. They're not like it's not like a wall, but you just see bars there, and you see 2 guards on the outside, both wearing a uniform of some sort. The colors appear to be black and a dark green coloring, and that matches kind of what the driver of the carriage was wearing. And the carriage itself was made of dark blacks and greens. Definitely very wealthy and definitely high class. And you see the driver get down, walk to the door, open the door, holds his hand out, and puts a little step out even too, and then you see Tequala in a very elegant silk type dress. Definitely a lot of money again. Take his hand, and then they're having a conversation, and she's pointing, and he's going, and he's giving her the nod like he's going to go grab stuff, and she begins to walk into the manor, and you see the driver go and start grabbing all kinds of like bags and containers and stuff off of the cart, like he's going to start bringing that stuff into the manor.
I'm literally just going to stand outside until I can no longer see her, and then a little bit longer, and then I'm going to head back straight to the inn, to the tavern inn, and I'm just going to go straight to the barkeep, and I'm just going to order a very strong drink.
Well, let's cut the scene a second at you just standing outside first. We'll get to the other part, and let's jump over to whoever needed to do things next, and we'll come back to that.
Who's left?
I think just you and Greybeard.
All right. GB, do you want to go?
Hey, I'm talking but not being heard. Since we're gonna end at the tavern, I might as well go last.
All right. I'm gonna go wander up to that musical section in the northeast of town and find the Harper's Guild.
Yeah, you're able to find that pretty quickly. And this is a big kind of stronghold of the Harpers, so this is definitely an area where they operate pretty openly. Although, you know that there will be agents that almost never broadcast that they're a part of the group, but you do see plenty of others that are just kind of have their badges out on their lapels or in pretty common areas.
Work my way up the line until I find somebody more senior than myself.
Well, you probably know right where the building is, and you can get probably right to the head Harper that's of this area.
Then I do so.
All right.
Is he in Ultram's Music Conservatory?
Yeah. Give me a second here. My dog walked in here, grabbed something in her mouth, and then walked away, and I have no idea what it was. I hope it's edible.
Classic drive-by.
Yeah. Yeah, she just grabbed something and then kept going. All right. Yes, it is. It's there, and let's see. You kind of... Oh, hold on. I got to grab something for her. Give me 1 second.
Any guesses as to what the thing the dog grabbed was?
Underwear.
Underwear? I'm going with a shoe.
Nah.
Thinking a piece of game material from Gen Con.
Ooh, good guess.
Cabbage Patch Kid.
There might have been swearing if it was like gaming stuff, though.
Oh, that's true. Is he Cabbage Patch Kid?
Nobody swears at that dog. That dog is out of control.
Sorry, I chased her back.
Golden Bone.
Golden Boy. I like it. Good guess.
Oh, my head hurts.
Your head hurts.
Yeah, I'm laughing at stuff.
Oh, okay.
You'll hear it on the VOD.
Okay.
Basically, you.
Yeah, you kind of see some other agents there, and you mentioned that you're here to see that like whoever's in charge, and they bring you to a main office, and you see a dwarf sitting there, and it's they introduce you to Glavrim Bitterbow. And he kind of waves you into this. It's kind of like a. It's not really like an office. It's more like a workshop. And he appears to be working on something on a bench when you come in.
I will introduce myself and give the secret handshake.
Yeah, and he kind of returns, and as you do that, you've noticed that it looks like he's working on an actual instrument of some sort, maybe one you're not familiar with, but it's definitely, like a wooden string type of instrument. It appears like he's maybe repairing something, or he's fixing something on, or he's doing something with it. You're not quite sure.
I am a former court dandy. I have seen all manner of stringed instruments.
Yep, this one definitely is one that you have not seen.
Well, then I ask him about it because it has piqued my curiosity.
Yeah, and he kind of mentions, and he actually kind of even opens up a little bit to you that you have interest in it. And he says, "Well, it's funny you should ask. I don't have a name for it yet, but it's something that I've created myself. It's the kind of the prototype. You can kind of think of it in the hurdy-gurdy kind of family, but he says, but that would be crude to call it such an instrument. The modifications and the things that I'm creating for it put it well beyond that style of instrument." And he seems quite proud as he's talking about it, and the craftsmanship on it is exquisite. And maybe it kind of takes you back just a tiny bit, because dwarves are always known as craftsmen, but you don't see a lot of carpenter or wood type craftsmen aren't usually in the stories of the dwarves. It's always stone or metal or this or that. But you can tell that his ability in working with wood is equal to any of the dwarves' abilities in working in metal or stone.
I was a singer in my former life, but I am traveling with a companion who would take great joy to see such an instrument, I am sure.
He says, "Oh, well, at some point when I have it finished, I will definitely will show it to many, and certainly you'd be able to bring your friend around. I'm not quite finished with it yet, though." And he seems to be really. You might look at it and it probably looks finished, but it's obviously of a artist who might fiddle with it as if it's never finished. Kind of, you get that kind of vibe from him.
Can I beg you to take a break from your work, as I'd like to report my findings from the north?
Yeah. He puts his tools down and he just has you. There's kind of like a couch and a chair area there too, and he waves you to sit. And he, as you're sitting, he kind of opens the door and he mentions. You hear him say, "Bring us refreshments, please," and then kind of closes the door once again.
All right. I'll give him the rundown of the breaking of the ordering if he is not already familiar with it. But mostly, I will express concern for Silverymoon Hall and the fact that we are leaving tomorrow for an assault on a beleaguered Silverymoon Hall.
Yeah. So when you kind of mention the other stuff besides Silverymoon Hall, you notice he kind of walks over to, there's like a leather satchel, and he pulls out like what looks like messages and papers, and as you're saying that, he's kind of hefting those, like, yes, we've been receiving reports from various agents across all of the Silver Marches and all of the Sword Coast. It appears there's some type of uprising, and he says, and you're kind of filling in more of the information than he has, but he has been getting similar information from many of his agents. But when you speak of Silverymoon Hall, he's like, that's something he hasn't heard. So the moment you kind of you speak of that, he's like, he kind of puts that stuff away. He's like, there's giants at Silverymoon Hall right now?
It was aflame when we rode past.
And he says, I will, he kind of goes back to the door and he shouts down the hallway. And it sounds like a name, but you're not quite sure. And he kind of comes back and he says, and it was on fire. But did you see the giants there? And he seems kind of perturbed about it. Like, that's
out of game. Did Did Ian feel a giant there? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Our ranger reported giants there.
Says that seems too close to Silverymoon. This must be taken seriously. And then you see an elf come in who's kind of dressed as in the gear of a ranger, bow on their back and the whole 9 yards. And he kind of says to them, and he's not being quiet or anything. He's like, I want you to send scouts out to Zymorvan Hall immediately. But he says, we think there may be fire giants there, so tell them do not engage. I will only want information. Have them send back messengers of what they find. And the ranger kind of bows to him, and he heads back out the door. And he says, this close to Silverymoon, and he's kind of pacing a little bit. He says, I hadn't realized it had gotten this bad. And then he looks to you and he says, and you're going back out tomorrow?
We came down for more provisions. My party is short on healing, and that is always a priority in those fights.
And he looks at you, and you're clearly a paladin, right?
Yeah.
Short on healing, he says, and he kind of gives you this look. Okay.
Have you ever been struck by a hill giant or a fire giant?
He has not. Yeah, he gives you this sly. No, I do not think I have let a fire giant hit me thus. And he gives you a not like in a sarcastic tone, but more of like a respectful. If you have, then and you've survived, then that's amazing. Because yeah, he would not let have that opportunity happen. He says we can try to provide support, and I am sure I will go to the marshal immediately once and speak with him. He most likely will send out the guard in force if Zymorvan Hall has been taken.
Well, Zymorvan Hall was burning, and there was another force even farther to the towards Rivermoot. So they are on the march. You are not
and then he
prepared.
says,
You should
"What
start
of
ready in your city?
What of Lord Zymorvan?"
Well, we'll tell you in the morning.
You did not see Harthos at the hall?
Could not approach the hall. It was a fire.
Yeah, and he kind of shakes his head, and he's kind of pacing and thinking at the same time, and he's like, "I hope my old friend is okay." He kind of mutters under his breath.
If you send a scout with us, they could always return once we have either retaken Zymorvan Hall or gone past.
Yeah, he's willing to. I mean, he's already sending most of the garrison out to check Zymorvan Hall.
Or give us a raven. I don't know. They've got to have some communication ability here. It doesn't involve running backwards or back on a foot.
Oh yeah, no. The rangers that they've sent out have like sending stones, and are able to communicate back what they've found. So they're already going to be heading out. And he's like, "Well, we definitely should talk with the marshal before you make your move. I'm almost sure that he will send a force to Zymorvan Hall once he learns of it."
Can we speak to him now?
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Let me gather my companions, if we may.
Yeah, okay. He says, gather your companions and bring them here, and then we will go and talk to the marshal.
These sending stones, would that be something that I could borrow one so that I could speak back to you? I'm assuming he's higher up in the Harper's food chain than I am, so.
Yeah, he has, he says that can be arranged.
Excellent. I will gather my companions and meet you.
All right. So that leave us what? Greybeard?
Yep.
What would Greybeard like to do?
Well, he was gonna hit some tavern / inns, and maybe again, since that seems to be the theme this episode, get a hold of some Zentarum rep.
Yeah, you know that down. Well, you kind of start. Now, do you have Thieves' Cant as one of your things?
Yeah.
You do? Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you did. So you kind of, here and there, you start at some inns and some taverns, and you look for people that you think might be, and then you might flash some Thieves' Cants, and maybe some recognize it, some others don't even notice that you're doing it, and a couple of them, you'll say that maybe you're looking for something, and then you go through a few that they don't know what you're talking about, or they don't know where to find it. But you start getting directions from a few that seem to know something that you should probably be looking down near the docks.
Okay.
If for what you're looking for. And so as you move further south towards the north side of the river, you can find all the dock areas and the various things there, and you're able to kind of, after you go through a couple of intermediary kind of like low-level, almost like thugs hanging out on the street or in back alley corners, and they kind of keep pointing you in the right directions, you're sent to a pretty rundown tavern. Let's see. Let's go to that. Where was it? I had it written down. Somewhere. My notes are all jumbled. Where is it?
Yeah, I'm surprised your brain isn't jumbled. You just did Gen Con, dude. After doing Penzic.
Yeah. 1 week after. Oh, there it is. The Moldy Pear.
Nice.
Yeah, they kind of point you to the Moldy Pear, and it's definitely a rundown kind of tavern. When you go in, it's kind of filled with big, burly guys, and they're obviously the dock hands that do a lot of the cargo unloading and loading. So they're all pretty muscly guys and pretty rugged, all in the maybe 30s, mid 30s, early 30s. The ones that are here at this time of day. And then you kind of see the bartender sees you walk in, and you kind of maybe flash the Thieves' Cant a little bit, and he just kind of nods over to a corner where you see a well-dressed man who seems to be talking to a few people at a table, but you get the nod that that's the person you should talk to.
All right. I get basically the biggest mug of mead I can, and wander that way.
Yeah, and he kind of he sees you because you're like they're the people he's talking to has their backs to you, and he kind of sees you. You notice he's kind of a very sharp-eyed kind of guy. Like, he's always watching the door. He's always watching the people in the room. He noticed the minute you walked in. He noticed the bartender give the slight nod towards him, but he never kind of broke his conversation. He never stopped talking. And just as you're kind of walking up, he kind of says, "Well, that'll be all for now, gentlemen. You can return to me on the morrow with your report." And they kind of stand up and they kind of head off. One's a real tall guy, one's a real small guy, both humans, as they kind of give him a nod and take one last drink of the mug that's on the table, and then they kind of push past you. And actually they kind of bump into you, like, 'cause you don't, like, they don't recognize you, or they don't really, they're just like, whoever you are, just kind of bump past you. And maybe they kind of bounce off you a little bit, like, because you're unless you How do you play it? Do you play it like I'm the tough guy and you make sure they can't bump you, or what do you do?
No, I let them bounce off me, and then I just treat it like it's nothing. But I don't puff up, or I don't give them any guff. I just sort of like it's a reality like deal.
Like when they. But do you let them bounce off to you, or do you let them make it look like they've kind of shoved you a little? Just get what I mean. Do you show your strength, I guess is what
No. I'd let them bump me, and then
okay.
I just kind of chuckle it off like kids, you know.
Yeah, and so the gentleman is a human kind of sitting at this table, and it's kind of like a booth in the back of this tavern, and he kind of gestures to the seat there. And do you still have your symbol? Where do you keep it?
Oh no, that's that'll be I got a do you know what a monkey's paw is? It's a sailor thing. Anyway, I've got a monkey's paw necklace, and then the other necklace I have. Oh geez, I got 3 or 4. Okay, I got a bunch of necklaces, and I just pull them all out from underneath my shirt and let them all fall on my chest. And one of them is like the Zentarum thing.
Yeah, okay. And he gives it a look, and he kind of you notice him give kind of a hand gesture, and the bartender comes over and he clears out some drunks that are kind of near a table, kind of near the area, and he shoos them out of the bar and says, "Get out of here. You guys have been sitting here not paying anything for the last hour. Come back when you got more money." And he kind of brushes them off, and now you kind of have this space kind of around where you're sitting. And he kind of stares at you and he says, "It does not seem we have met, dwarf. How can I help you today?"
Big beefy paw across the table. Greybeard.
Yeah, he shakes it, and surprisingly strong shake. Nothing crazy, but definitely a strong handshake. Probably a little bit stronger. He looks more like a rail thin kind of guy, but obviously has some strength to him.
No, good.
Not like giant strength or anything, but
right.
You're. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So then I'll be like, I've been on the road a bit. Haven't talked to anyone since Tribal. Had a bit of a row with some giants there. And I look back now just to kind of see if there's anybody in the place, because I'm not that wise and not that perceptive.
Yeah. You see there's a space there, and there still are a few people in the bar. The innkeeper is still there. And as you're looking around and then you turn back to him, you notice that he is reaching into his lapel coat area, and he pulls out a black kind of notebook, and he kind of meticulously opens it up. He takes a pen, he has an ink pot, and he's like begins to write, pretty much everything you kind of, and he's just kind of waiting for you to say, and he's like, "Continue."
After I said the thing about having a row with some fire giants, I reach in my bag of holding and I pull out a fire giant toe, and I'm lumped over it so like nobody could see what I put on the table, but I put the toe on the table and give them the look like I mean business, and I'm not, what I'm saying is true, sort of deal. And then,
he has like a little distasteful look at the things, but he does seem to be taking you seriously, and he's writing down each of the things that you're saying.
All right. And then and like I said, I've got like, gosh, I think I have like I got like monster teeth and a ogre magi horn and stuff necklace. So, I am a killer of beasts. I don't say that, but I'm trying to get that image. And then I palm the giant toe back into the bag, like under the table kind of deal. And then I guess I'll relay the fights we've had with giants and where,
Okay.
as best Greybeard can remember the names of places. Again, it's Crow's Nest, no, Eagle, no, not Eagle's Nest, that kind of thing. But
and then he says Hawk's Nest, and he kind of writes it in, and then he kind of interrupts you as you're telling your story, and he asks you, how many guards did you see
at Hawk's Nest?
Yeah.
Okay. GB doesn't pay attention, so
but I'm waiting to see what happens. Yeah.
Right. He's like, Herrera. He gives him a number, however many he did actually see, he tries to remember that number and give it to him, honestly, but he never watches.
Yeah, so
unless
he rolls an
somebody's
insight
punching
on you.
Yeah, unless somebody's punching Greybeard, he's like, guards. Guards are things to be avoided.
So when you talk of Hawk's Nest, he was like, how many armed guards? What weapons were they carrying? And it seems odd because it's not like the stuff you're trying to tell him, which you think is important, but it's like these weird things that he wants. And he's writing down the other stuff too, but he's like, then he doesn't say anything one way or the other when you're able to answer it or not. And then he says, do you talk about when you were at Felbar Citadel?
I say we went there, but I don't give any. Basically, when we get to Felbar, I say stuff like, and then I got coffee. Oh, I was so lucky to get coffee and real dwarven pipeweed. I don't give them. I don't say we met with the king and queen. I don't say we gave away the artifacts, any of that.
Right. But he says, and then while you were on the Silverymoon Pass, how many caravans did you pass by?
I am the worst agent ever.
He's starting to get he's like,
This guy's a murder machine, but he knows nothing, Jon Snow.
That's fine. Yep.
I think of when I'm, all the times I was like sleeping while driving the wagon and just letting the oxen follow the party kind of thing. In Greybeard's head, and he's like, maybe I should start thinking about this stuff, to himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then do you say anything about Zymorvan Hall?
Yeah, that's the end of it. And I'm like, so then I crept up through the darkness and saw the gates asunder and the keep itself aflame.
Yeah, and he definitely raises an eyebrow to that, and he says, so you say Zymorvan Hall has fallen?
Right. There was no sign of life left. It was a light, and the gates were down.
Yeah, and he says, sit here just a moment, and he waves to the bartender, who brings over like a big mug of ale. And then he walks over to one of the other people, and you kind of maybe look over your shoulder to kind of watch as you're drinking type thing. And he talks to one of the guys that's just kind of leaning up against the wall next to the door. And there's a whispered conversation, and that guy leaves, and then this guy comes back and sits down again and opens the notebook again and says, it seems your travels have taken you quite a few interesting places. And you did say your name, right, Greybeard?
Right,
yeah.
Yep.
Greybeard. And I appreciate you for you bringing this to our attention. And he pulls out a little pouch, and he passes over a pouch that appears to have some type of money in it. And he says, and now, what are your plans? Where do you travel next?
Hey, did we talk about that before I got here today?
Well, yeah, the group can talk to you.
Yeah.
Is that Morven Hall?
So we decided we were going back there?
Yeah, all the way to Rivermoon.
Okay, all right. All right, because what I remember last time is we were trying to get up to Miramar or something like that. Okay. Well, I'll put my palm on the little money bag and pull it towards me, and then as a side note, when the guy dropped off the ale, Greybeard was like, "Can I get a couple of sausages, maybe a meat pie or something?" Kind of. That's just a Greybeard bit. But and then
Yeah.
I'll
The guy
say,
nods and he's like, he's going to get some extra stuff for you.
and I say, we're going back to Zymoven Hall. We're probably gonna, if there's any more giants or whatnot there, we'll take them down.
He says, "Very well. I will be what's the word he's going to use? I think he will use the word the network. He says the network will be interested to hear how that turns out, and you've done very well. Though he says a few more details when next you report would be much appreciated.
Right, guards. What
Numbers
else?
of caravans.
Yeah, caravans, guards,
Yeah.
caravans. Got it.
Possible people you can enslave.
As long as the number doesn't exceed 10.
Business opportunities. Yeah.
Dirty Zentarum.
And then he kind of stands, and they bring you like a it's not really like a plate, but it's like he brings you this bowl. It's like a bread bowl that has some stuff, like some stew in the bread bowl itself, that he kind of hands to you.
All right.
And he says, "Well, until we meet again." And he says, and he gives you his name as Brin Oswell. I'll put it in chat.
All right. Cool.
And as you're going out, there's kind of like a bouncer style guy that look a half orc, kind of leaning up against the wall next to the door. And as you're kind of going out with your bread bowl of stew and heading on your way, he kind of pretty quietly says, "Well done. You impressed the rogue. That's good to do."
Right. All right. Well, keep an eye on him for me, huh? I give him just a
Yeah, and he just gives you a head shake.
like an elbow, and I leave because I'm an idiot.
All right.
Bread bowl it is. Nom nom nom.
That's making me hungry. All right, so everybody has done that right about the same time that everybody else is out doing things. So this is, while people are in the stables, while we have people in the grove, while we have people doing some shopping, while we have people at the Harper's area, and then everybody kind of converges at the inn. And probably nearly the same time, so that you guys are all kind of there, and then maybe you guys see Finn walk in last. Finn, you kind of walk in and you see almost everybody sitting around the table waiting. They probably all arrived before you did, except maybe Ian is at the bar swigging a drink, which you've never probably seen her do. And then maybe she catches she catches your eye. Or she notices that you have arrived. You're the last one to arrive, and then maybe she starts making her way back over to the table.
With another drink, another shot. I'd take a quick shot, then I head back.
I'll give her the eyebrow.
Be the furrow. So, have your contacts been useful? I look at Finn.
We have an audience with the marshal as soon as everybody is ready.
Oh, well, that's easier than I thought it would be. Anyone else? Anything interesting? Anything fruitful?
The horses are taken care of.
Good man.
And just to confirm, we have enough horses for everybody now?
Greybeard has a pony.
All right.
Cute little pony. Looks a lot like him, might I add.
It was the only purple one we could find.
Surprisingly enough.
Its name is Pixie Dust.
There you go. Greybeard's a brony. And muted, probably.
I knew it.
Oh, dang it. Yep. Her name is Bloodlust Mayhem, and her cutie mark is the Anarch.
Nice.
Oh my god, it's horrible that you even know that.
What is a cutie mark?
There you go.
You don't have house elves. You would know what a cutie mark is, sir.
Yeah.
It's like the heart they have branded on them. It's like the opposite of the brand.
Yep.
It's the next campaign we're playing is the My Little Pony role-playing game.
Yes.
So is it like
I
a
would
Care Bear
rule
ripoff?
Kinda. Yeah.
Except, it's where you'd brand them on there.
I like how you try to blame that on your kids too.
Oh, no. The reason I can selective here is because of the My Little Ponies. Their voices. Oh my god, I have been able to mentally block out because I cannot stand the voice work in My Little Pony. It chews at my brain. It's given me the ability to not listen to people.
That's amazing. Well, anybody else have anything interesting to tell before we head off to meet the
To
dude
the marshal.
of the guy? Yes, let us go. Off.
All right, yeah. So
I
you
don't
guys
know.
kind of march off, and you head over to, the Night Defenders area, which is kind of like a keep, and you are brought in with the lead Harper. I wish all of my pens and pencils weren't still in my bag that I took to Gen Con instead of sitting here on my.
I thought you were going to say in
table?
your dog's mouth.
That
That's what I
too.
honestly thought you were going to say.
Because now I have to go back up to... There it is, Glavrin Bitterbow. There he is. The head Harper of Silverymoon at the moment. And you get an audience with High Marshal Methremer Arasume, I think is how you would say that. Sounds right.
I like the accents there. Masume.
Yeah, it's got the what is that? Not the umlaut, which is the 2 dots, but the Spanish, I guess, or Japanese use it a lot. The hyphen above the e.
Oh, that's not. I think that's Portuguese. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah,
I can
what do you
look it
call
up
that?
if you want.
Well, whatever that is. That's why it made me think to say it a little odd. Sume. It kind of feels like a Japanese
Sume.
Arasume.
Jose. I think it's fast. Mistake. Oh no, that's the wrong accent. Doesn't matter. Moving on.
Yeah. So you're brought in, and when you come into here, you see these guys. There's like guards along. You brought into like a kind of almost like a war room that has pillars holding it up, and there's a big table there that shows kind of the lands around Silverymoon, and at each pillar is a knight who's dressed in kind of like a modified plate armor, maybe not a full plate, but kind of a partial plate armor, cloaks draped. I mean, they look like a full-on kind of force. Each pillar has one of these guys standing there on guard, great swords held at the ready kind of thing when they bring you in to meet the High Marshal. And you hear Glavrin kind of does the introductions of Finn, but then as he introduces Finn and he says a traveler with this group has word from Zymorvin's Hall, and then he kind of allows you to introduce the rest of your band.
All right. First, I'll introduce Ian Agris as our captain. Ka'FeyBlak, Greybeard, Ardreth, Edrim, and finally, Nod.
No smiles?
No,
And what have you guys done with Harshnag at this time?
it's my squire. Harshnag's outside of town, nowhere near.
Okay.
Yeah, he's chilling. chilling like a.
He's
not
chilling with
really.
Smiles, like
It's
a
our
mile
secret
out.
weapon.
Yeah, and
They're playing two-handed euchre out there.
yeah, they cut to their scene. He's like, "Have they been gone a long time?" I don't know. Seems like it's been a long time. Should we go in? Well, I don't know. All right, so we cut back, and the Lord Marshal, he's in like this pretty elegant full plate armor that's brass worked all over it. It's got some type of language is written into the brass work itself. He carries an ornate sword on his hip and a pretty ornate scabbard, big billowing cloak off his back. He's a big human, so he's probably 6'4", definitely muscular, but definitely older, probably in his late 40s, maybe early 50s. And he says, he looks to Finn and says, "Please report what you've seen at Zymorvan Hall."
Marvin Hall is aflame. We have come to Silverymoon to resupply, and then we plan on heading back immediately to aid in its not redemption, the liberation from the fire giant attack.
Were you able to find or save Lord Zymorvan?
No, we did not approach the hall. It was, like I said, under siege, and we were being chased by another army.
Did you see any survivors?
No.
Yeah, and he kind of looks grave. And he kind of gives Bitterbow a look, and he's kind of like, Zymorvan Hall, the audacity to attack and burn it down, 3 days ride from Silverymoon. And he kind of talks gravely about it. He seems concerned that, this has happened so close. He says, well then, we will be sending out a full response then. And kind of, I keep losing his name in my head for some reason.
Well, full response will take time. We plan on leaving in the morning.
And you should not leave Silverymoon unprotected in these unknown times.
You know of the attack on Tribord, correct?
Or Nightstone.
Yeah, he kind of gives you the look of, you are the adventuring experts. I am the expert on defense of the town.
Tribord is 100 miles to the south, and they were attacked. So.
And Nightstone was attacked from above by boulders.
Yeah, and he says, I thank you for your concern, and we are well defended here at Silverymoon. I certainly would never leave it unprotected, but we will be sending a force to Zymorvan Hall. We cannot let anything occupy that is not affiliated with Silverymoon.
How long will it take for the full force?
Oh, I will be sending the Knights Errants out in the morning. And in fact, he kind of has already kind of gestured to what probably looks like somebody who's maybe like a second in command or another person, one of the guards that was there, a knight also. And he kind of leaves the room as you continue to talk with him.
Well, with your permission, we will ride with them and then on to Rivermoot.
Certainly, yes. You may. We'll be leaving before dawn, probably. And he looks to his knights. I will have them ready within probably. We will be able to leave within an hour of sunset or sunrise. That's what he means to say. So you can leave just before dark. Give you enough time. It's going to be a quick ride. Will you be able to keep up?
I'll look to Ian.
Yes.
I need to look. All of your group can ride, and he looks at each one individually.
Not all of them need to.
Yes, we all have a mode to get there quickly.
I'm super fast.
I'm super bad. Very well.
So, how far is Finn away from the rest of the party?
I would assume I'm right there with everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unless he decides.
Is there an opportunity? I try coughing under my breath. Giant.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't think.
yes.
I don't think we're. Do we want to spill the beans on him yet? I don't think so.
I'd rather them not attack him, though. He's going to be just chilling outside of town.
Could be awkward tomorrow when he shows up and he's not on a horse.
Yeah, but they're cool with like tons of different races here.
That's true. But we
Yeah,
should tell him.
super
They got
super liberal
minotaurs and
town.
shit. Super.
Yeah, it's super
All right.
liberal town.
We have a companion outside of town that we were concerned about bringing in. He's helped us on numerous occasions and helped us actually slay a few fire giants.
And
He's Harshnag, a frost giant.
he's working towards our cause to rid the area of giants.
He gives you a nod and he says, "So Harshnag's traveling with you these days, then?"
Yes.
He's more famous than we are.
Yeah, he's
Nice.
super famous in this area.
He's not the 6, he's the 1.
He's now known as Harshnag and the Six. That's what they call him.
Yeah, he's with Force Grey. Way
Harshnag
more.
plus 6.
Yeah, done way more stuff than you guys.
What's a forest gray?
Force recast. Force Grey.
We're force plaid.
They're Force Matt.
And then he kind of in a very business-like manner, he's like, "Then make your preparations, then, and we will ride in the morning." And he looks to. Why do I keep moving off of that name? Glavrin. And he looks to Glavrin and he says, "I assume you will be accompanying them to Zymorvan Hall." And Glavrin kind of gives them a nod. And he says, "Then I'll await your report." And then he kind of just gives you the dismissal nod and goes back to the table that is kind of like a carved out version of Silverymoon, and like probably the 4 or 5 miles around the city where you can see different farms or homesteads or ranches and things like that all seem to be intricately kind of carved out on this, almost like a big battle map.
Cool.
All right. Well, shall we meet them outside of the moon gate? And main entrance of the town? Is that where we will be meeting?
Yeah, you guys will. Yeah, I mean they're gonna assemble outside the moon gate, and it's gonna be a big column of knights on horses and.
Do you have any supplies that you would be able to provide us before we head out that may be able to help us in this battle?
And he says, "What? We have plenty of supplies. What are you looking for?"
Things such as healing potions, salves, and I look at the rest of the party to see if there's anything specifically they are looking for.
Yeah, he says, "We can outfit you with the healing kits that we provide to our troops, to our knights. Each of them are given the healing kits. And then there will be several healers that go with the... what's he going to call it? He probably called, I don't want to say expeditionary force, but I want to say...
Contingent?
The Liberators.
Close. Tip of my tongue.
The first word that came into my mind was battering ram.
I was
The
thinking like a
entourage.
recon force, but it's a
Delta
it's
Force.
too modern. Yeah, it's too modern of a term.
Company.
What the
brigade,
Romans have. Come on, Brian.
legion,
You're the history guy.
What did the Romans have?
Legionnaires.
cohort.
Oh, cohort. I like it. Yeah. There will be several healers that will travel with the cohort.
All
If you need arrows, weapons, or armor, we can provide that.
Sweet.
Yeah, not GB. Go.
Yeah, go, Jimmy, go.
Plate
Yep.
armor barbarian. Yeah, let's do it.
Heck yeah. Do they have a breastplate?
Sure, they can give you one.
Sweet.
Sweet. All right, now you can save that money for something else.
Mm-hmm.
All
More
right.
healing potions.
More healing potions. Thank
Well,
you.
next time your paladin goes naked after the murder, we'll need another suit of plate. So
Hey, that's
Yeah,
right.
well,
save that money.
hopefully someone will just give us it at that point. All right. Well then, I thank you, and we shall see your cohort in the morning.
Yeah, he looks to you and says, "Captain, make your preparations, and we will see you in the morning."
So when we get to the like quartermaster or armory or whatever, I make sure I get a healing kit for everyone.
Okay.
So everybody,
Yeah,
write it down.
Extra arrows.
I've got 100 arrows in my bag for you.
We can always use more. It's a
All right,
battle.
all right,
Don't
all
be
right.
stingy.
I
It
take
costs
it.
a gold piece.
I take another 40 arrows if they'll let me.
Yep. You can add those in.
Thank you.
And also, Glavrin, as you guys are walking out, Glavrin Bitterbow is walking with you. It's the dwarf who's walking with, and he kind of walks next to Finn, and he hands Finn, he hands him a stone, and he says, we use these for communications, though they will only last, the power in them will only last for a little over 2 weeks. You'll be able to send messages to me through that, though I will be accompanying you in the morning. But
Very
he hands
good.
it to you anyways. So you have like it's kind of like a sending stone, but it's a little bit different version of it than the actual sending stone spell.
It's like a cell phone where you have to charge it.
Well, it's going to die out and crumble after 2 weeks. All of the power is used up out of it, and then it's done. But you are able to send messages.
Can this be duplicated by another mage?
He kind of looks at you, a powerful enough one, sure.
Very good. I'll slip it to coffee eventually. Don't break it.
Nice.
All right. So you guys head back to the inn and stay the evening.
Yes. At the bar.
All right. Should just be a. It's not too expensive to stay here in these towns in this tavern. So 5 silver for a room. If you want to stay in more of like the common room where there's a bunch of beds and just anybody can sleep in there, it's probably 2 silver a night. But if you want your own room, 5 silver.
I say I will bunk with you, Greybeard.
All right. And
I'll
pay.
grab my own room.
And I'll pay.
Okay.
There's no Harper bunk here anywhere?
Yeah, if you go back to the Harper Hall, you're welcome.
It's in the
to-
basement.
Well, if we're not singing for our supper, I'll go back to the Harper's Hall.
Okay. All right, so we're winding down right up to our 10 o'clock time. We got a bunch of RPing in. I think what we're going to do is we're going to pick up next week, Monday, where we head back to Zymorvan Hall and Force. But interesting enough, there's a few things happening in Silverymoon that I have this idea that this won't be the last time we visit it. So
Cool.
I think we'll go there. So maybe not as much action, but we're getting the story back on track and online, and getting everybody's a little character development going on. We're going to be able to find a little bit more out next week, I think, about some of the other happenings with our characters as they begin to explore some of these strange things that have been happening to them. So And we're going to see, maybe we'll get into a nice big old battle at Silverymoon Hall. We'll have to see. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I want to say thanks for everybody coming to watch. Looked like chat was super active, so that's always good. I see a lot of the normal people out there. Sonic, Pristine, or is it Citizen? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Citizen. Spammy's in there. Sonic's in there.
Give a shout out to Sasha, you bastard.
Sasha's watching.
Hey.
He said he lurks, though, so he might not be...
He can't watch. They're playing at the same time, so he hasn't really been watching.
Yeah, I went to Penzic as just a side note, and one of my really good friends, he comes running up. He's like, I heard you guys are playing Storm King's Thunder. He's like, my group's playing Storm King's Thunder. He's like, they're like on the same kind of track we are, and they also went to Tribor, and they've also had to do some of the things you guys, the Nightstone and the stuff. So we were trading stories about, how'd your group do this? And, oh, my group did this. He's like, I know, I've been watching you guys on YouTube.
Nice.
So it was pretty funny. He's like, I had to stop watching because he was like, I don't want to know what's going to happen because I think we're a little bit ahead of him. Although I think if he gets to these episodes, we've kind of branched off from the way they went. But it's still pretty funny and interesting.
Almost everybody on the internet has gone the other way. Nobody went to Tribor. Everybody went to Golden Happy Valley, something or other, something with treants and druids.
No, I think the Tribor battle was awesome. That's one of my favorite.
I do too. So, but as I back when we were frustrated, I was like, all right, how are other people doing this? Because obviously we're doing something wrong. And I started listening to other people's YouTube of these, and everyone went to the druid thing, and I'm like, son of a, I just want to hear the Tribor battle. So we rule.
Yeah, actually, their story was they fought off the lesser things, but were unable to really do hardly any damage to the two giants. And those two giants got the thing and took off, and they never went after him. So I was like, well, my group injured one of them and then decided the very next day to hunt him down and kill him. And he's like, they would
Persistence.
I'm like, yeah, they killed him and they got the artifact back. I'm like, I bet my group's way different than yours.
Because they're crazy.
But they had some really good stories about being in Nightstone. And their version of when as you guys know them, the bounty hunters showed up to the gate went completely different than the way our game went. And there were some really interesting stories there. They never encountered the pudding, so their fight went different in the caves.
So their whole character crew is the same. They haven't lost anybody yet.
Oh no, I think they've lost somebody. But he did tell me a funny story. I won't go into the whole thing here, but he told me a story. This is perfect. They took a prisoner. Sasha kills the prisoner. The cleric in the group, his god takes his powers away because he let Sasha kill the prisoner, and so the cleric no
Nice.
longer can heal. And I'm like, oh, you have to hear the story of my group. It's fantastic. So they went through their own little trial, and it took him a while before he could his god granted him his powers back. But his group's all pissed off at him because he killed the prisoner, and I was just like, oh my god, it's so funny. It's so
All right.
good.
Well, I'm going to jump off. I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, see you, Brian.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, that's our show for tonight, even though we got a little extra stuff in there. I'm probably going to do, for those of you that are hanging out, I'll probably put up some YouTube videos of kind of my rundown of Gen Con stuff and stories,
Nice.
of recaps of some games I ran and things like that. And then a Thursday night game, I think we're going to do some more Black Door, but I think we're going to do a couple more episodes, get that to a point where there's a good story that we can continue with, but then I want to shake things up a little bit and then maybe play a couple of the other games and try some one-shot stuff out on the Thursday nights and then come back to the Black Door campaign. So we're going to set up the Black Door campaign to really jump off, get it in a good spot, and then we'll put in some one-shot stuff that we can do, and then we'll come back to the Black Door stuff. So it's going to be a lot of cool stuff. Also, Is it this weekend? My God, I think it's this weekend that we're going to be playing with Jorfton again in
Oh my God, I forgot all about it. Sunday,
Magpie,
Sunday, right?
and yeah. So we got another. It was supposed to be a one-shot, turning into a two-shot. Is going to be this weekend, which is also going to be some fun and a good story. And I've got a lot of cool stuff set up for you guys there. So obviously, tons of role-playing ready to go as we get going. So I'll go ahead and leave the character screen up for a little bit as we shut down the stream, but I'll leave chat up for just a tiny bit, and then we will all see, hopefully all of you on Thursday night, if you can make the Thursday night show, where we'll be streaming Black Door on Thursday, or come check us out on Sunday if you're trying to find something to watch also. So thanks for joining, and we will see you in the next one.